All right. Well, we'll get started with some intros just so wow, there's a lot of people here. This is great. I'm so excited. So first of all, I'm Kayla Pfister. I work at Alaska Children's Trust. I'm the Director of Community Engagement, and I've been helping with Child Abuse Prevention Month for um, about 4 years now. And if you can in your answer, just say why you're here today, whether it's um, your reason for participating in Child Abuse Prevention Month or what your community's done in the past in brief, that would be great. So yes, I've been involved in Prevention Month for about 4 years, and one of the reasons that I think it's such an important time is it's one of the times that we get to work with the most amount of people across the state and really work together to bring something really to Alaskans everywhere. So I really appreciate that about it. And I'll pass it off to Kay. Nice to see you, Kay.
Hi there. I live in Wrangell, and I've been interacting with the Alaska Children's Trust for maybe 4 or 5 years, just because of the importance of this awareness and making. I know they're emphasizing more connecting with resources, and so I'm just real eager to see what's coming about this year. I work with a volunteer committee called Brave, Building Respect and Valuing Everyone.
Awesome. Colleen, do you want to go?
I sure can. Hi, everybody. My name is Colleen Andrews. I am the project coordinator for Rock Matsu. We have tried to do, we started this, the Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month work, I think about 3 years ago, and we've tried to do many different things, such as we host trainings, Darkness to Light trainings, PACES trainings, and then we have a part 2 training called Raising Resilience that we try to pack into April. And then we have hosted the community Go Blue rally here in Matsu Valley. We have tried to host a community connection carnival. We did that for the first time last year, and we had a really amazing turnout. So we're doing that again this year. And the work group that I work with wanted to incorporate voices of lived experience into April. And so this year we're rolling out 1 minute stories. We've done book clubs. We hosted a braided stories training or braided stories cohort during April, and we've also done a community baby shower. So, yep, that's us.
Fantastic. Amy, would you go? And then when you're done, will you pick the next person?
Sure. I'm Amy Simpson. I'm with Programs for Infants and Children, which is the infant learning program in Anchorage. And I've been involved with Go Blue Day for years and years. I don't even know how many years. And in the Anchorage community, I think for the last, I don't know, COVID may have interrupted it, but I think for the last 4 or 5 years that we've had, we have an event at, it's been at the Fairview Community Center, and we open it up. It's a child family activities and give away prizes and food and all sorts of things. So, and I've been kind of the organizer of that event, but this year I'm handing it off to somebody else. And but I think that everyone's ready to do it again. And I'll send it to Nathaniel.
Well, good afternoon. My name's Nathaniel Snyder. You guys can call me Nat, just like the bug. I work over at Resource Center for Parents and Children, or RCPC, over in Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm the Family Services Program Manager. I'm kind of filling in for Desiree. She's the manager over at Stevie's Place underneath the RCPC banner. But typically what we do over at RCPC is we do a like open house where we have other agencies who are able to come in, they're able to set up a table, and we have the community take a look at like what services we provide and how we prevent child abuse. So they're able to take a look at my department, they're able to see our visitation rooms, they're able to see the programs that we work with, how we work with OCS, what our chest feeding program looks like. And they're also able to take a look at Stevie's Place and see the Child Advocacy Center. So they're able to learn about that process. They're able to see the interview room and like what takes place and how it takes place. So that way the community's just like, they're aware of it, but it's also, it gives room for conversation about it. Like we need to normalize, like, yes, this is a thing. We need to talk about this and we need to talk about the resources that are out there. And then I guess I pass it on to someone. This is a lot of pressure for me right now.
Nat,
A lot.
I'll go.
I was gonna say it's your first name and I know you. So go for it.
Hi, I'm Alana Medell. I work for the Office of Children's Services as a program coordinator, and I oversee grants and contracts, including the Prevention Month campaign. And Mindy.
Hi, I'm Mindy Shoemake. I'm with Division of Juvenile Justice and have been involved with this program off and on for about the last 9 years. Not super actively involved other than trying to support that through the work that we do as well. And I'm not sure who's left. So I'm not sure who to pass it to.
I guess I
I'll
can
go.
go. This is Carrie Beeman, and I work for I work for Rural Cap, and usually my supervisor Dee Dee attended these meetings last year. She's in another meeting now. But so just hearing the overview of what some people have done, where we have sites all over Alaska, many of them in rural areas, and so. I know in the past we've had let the sites decide what's best for their community on hosting events, and so I'm assuming that's what we'd probably do this year because they know what's best. So it's in different communities. I used to be, I've been in this role as a family service ERSI lead for several years now, but I was a family advocate in Tok for many years. And I remember doing events. One of the things that we did there was I see on the thing with the pinwheels. We put those out at the Easter egg hunt that we had one year. So we had in our playground the Easter egg hunts, and then we also had pinwheels. So each kid knew to find one pinwheel that they could take out in the snow, and they also searched for eggs. That was one of the things that we did do for an event. And I hopped on a few minutes late, so I don't know who to pass it to either. So
I'll
So
go.
this
This is okay.
Go ahead, Lucy.
This is Lucy Hanson. I am the CEO for Polynesian Association of Alaska, and I think was last year, going into fourth quarter, we received a grant from ACT in child abuse and neglect, and we are working on our we've been working with our Pacific Island community in Anchorage in reference to this, and we've been working with ACT in other projects as well in the past. We've been partnered with them in Go Blue and other events that they do around in the communities. We are excited. We were excited about the grant that we received because we were able to bring in our parents, and with the culture and language barriers and a culture that we grew up in and how we raise our kids and coming into a different culture. It was a very important thing that we need to get into because we see the need in our community. And for the last year, we were in this the face of this grant, and we were able to um to educate our parents, our young parents, and also our elders, which we had a community connection. And also we have forums in our community with the church. They come along, 11 to 12 churches. They come along and meet with us and talk about the importance of this in our community, because how we raise our kids were a little bit different than the American way of life, and we were so excited to be a part of this, and we're excited to continue working with ACT in reference to protecting our kids. And thank you. Okay, I don't know who to pass to.
This is Deanna Byer in Dillingham. I'll go next. I'm with the Bristol Bay 4-H. I've previously worked with Nittaput Child Advocacy Center, and when I left that job, I took with me the responsibility and eligibility to work with Go Blue Days. In the past, here in Dillingham and Bristol Bay, we have done the visual pinwheels, one pinwheel for each child that visited Nittaput. A few years ago, I knitted blue hats, one hat for every child to represent every child that visited Nittaput, and then we gave the hats away to uh, children around the region and community. We also do a social media Go Blue Day, challenging people to post pictures of themselves in blue. And I don't know, I've been like someone previously. I've been in this role for many years. Um, but we also have children's fairs in which different providers or family service agencies man a booth of Legos or crafts or whatever, and this allows the children and families uh, to participate in fun activities and also get to know their providers and pick up more information on child abuse prevention. And I will pass it to Veronica.
Hello, everybody. My name is Veronica Driscoll, and I am the mental health specialist at the Claire Swan Early Learning Center with Cook Inlet Tribal Council. I am new in this position, and so I'm not sure what they've done in the past, but previously I was an equal worker for my own tribe, the Native Village of Unalakleet, and then did some equal work for other tribes before working for OCS. And so I participated in some of the Child Abuse Prevention Month activities through those positions. But I'm just excited to see what others are doing and what maybe we can do here at the center for families that we're serving and some of the children. So, and I will pass it to May.
Hi, so I'm May Remy. I'm in Homer with Sprout Family Services. And some of you may know Miss Red, who is usually the one that leads in this effort, but we've participated for as long as I can remember. And we do the Go Blue Day, and we partner with the Southern Kenai Peninsula Resilience Coalition and try to get the pinwheels out and do little events and things like that for Week of the Young Child, and do April kind of as a full month of awareness. And I'm happy to be here and get to know you all. And I will pass it to Samantha.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Sharkoff. I'm with the Alaska Children's Trust. I'm the current Alaska Fellow, and I'm working on planning Child Abuse Prevention Month with Kayla. So it's great to meet all of you. And I can't wait to hear all of your feedback. Let's see who hasn't gone yet. How about Marikar? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, you are. Hi guys, my name is Mara Karyuzan. I'm with VOA Alaska. I am also new to this role. In the past, DJ, my previous boss, was more involved with the Go Blue Day, and usually we would just I would volunteer my time working our table at the Go Blue Day event over at the Fairview Rec Center, which I know that we're gonna also be a part of this year. We usually have the photo booth with where people can we'll take photos of them, like in all this, like we just bring about a bunch of like blue props and stuff like that, and then they can print the picture and take it home with them. We haven't done too much with the community as far as childhood prevention or the prevention month. So I'm here to just learn more about what more we can do as an organization. So I don't know who to pass it to, so volunteer, please.
I think that may be everyone other than me. Hi everyone, Eliza Posner. I'm the Director of Strategy at the Alaska Children's Trust. So fun to hear again about all the amazing things that you've done for Prevention Months in the past, and I'm really excited to see what happens this year.
Well, thank you, everybody. I think that one of the biggest benefits of getting this group together is you all getting to hear from each other about what's going on in other communities and get new ideas. So hopefully that sparked something for somebody else. We usually put up little descriptions of what each community did each year. So if you're looking for more ideas or you want to connect with one of the people in this group, you can always email me or Samantha to get connected to somebody else that's here. But on the screen now is just kind of the Go team for Prevention Month this year. So Samantha, introduce yourself. She's the Alaska Fellow. And I tried to put a little bit about what kind of topics each of us is covering, so you know who to email, but if you email any of us, it will get to the right person, so don't worry about it. So we will go right into our agenda. We usually start off with a discussion, which I think we can do an abbreviated version of now, Samantha, because people really did share what they usually do. But one of the key parts about having this meeting nice and early on is because we still do have some time to change things. So we still do have some time to change, you know, what events we're putting on, what trainings we're offering, what kind of op-eds we do. So I think the really big thing that I'd love for all of you to take away from this and to give to the meeting is if there's something that you think we should be doing for Child Abuse Prevention Month to make it more actionable, to make it, well, we have the awareness. I feel like we have the awareness part pretty like locked in at this point across the state. Like people are doing Go Blue Day rallies, you're having all these awesome events. And our next step is how do we make this more actionable? How do we make Child Abuse Prevention Month truly prevent child abuse and neglect and not just the wear blue? How do we take it to that next step? So as we're going through the meeting, please keep coming back to that. And if you have ideas, bring them up to us. Because that is our big goal. So we'll start with a little bit of discussion, then we'll go into what materials we've solidified for the month. We have our theme. Some of this will be a little bit repetitive from the last meeting because we noticed there's a lot of people here that weren't at the one in November. We will unveil our 2 different mini grants that we'll be offering this year. And then we will kind of talk about what the timeline is and what you can expect from us. So going right into it. Here we go.
Great. So we're going to open up a little discussion now. We received some feedback during our last meeting about what we could do to continue to reach other communities. But again, because we have such a different group this time, we would love to hear your thoughts on what more we can do. So how can we drive real change through Child Abuse Prevention Month? You know, we're trying to be a bit more active here beyond just the distribution of materials. So what kind of activities can you yourself put on, right? Besides Go Blue Day, thinking about how we can drive real change beyond just the awareness aspect. And then we can skip what you've done in the past, but maybe thinking more to the future, what we want to see more of.
This is Lucy. I can speak for my own community, what I see that it works, because we just started this, and I think it's a long overdue process that we were supposed to be doing to educate our community. There is a lot of need in my community that needs to be continued education. So I think having more of what you call it, coming together, like forums, youth forums, having some kind of parents forums, cultural wise forums, to talk about different community, how they feel about their culture when it comes to discipline, when it comes to child abuse. I think it's more to that view that I see that will work to make the community understand about more about child abuse and neglect. And that's something that I learned so far about a year and a half now, putting this program into my community.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lucy.
What kind of format does that take, Lucy? Is that like a open discussion, or is that at some of the churches in your community? How does that work?
Yes, we do have, we open a forum just for parents, and then we bring in the OCS would be a part of it, because there's an important part of that, the state rules and regulation that needs to come in to where the parents would understand versus how we understand in our own culture what child abuse and neglect. And we invited a representative from OCS to come and do a presentation or answer some questions that the community would have, and then share some ideas from our community and also ideas from the state of what will work as to communication. And I think that it's where the understanding it comes in to educate, to understand what it means by discipline and how to discipline the child, what it means by conversation, how to provide a healthy conversation with a child. Those things that I think it's not just in my community, but I see it in other diverse community that I work with. It's similar to all of our lives, all of our way of culture. It's very similar. And I think what we're trying to push out to the community to understand what and how, what will happen if this happened to the child. I think it's important for all of them to understand that part, so that will prevent, child abuse and neglect. So we do forum for parents, and then we bring in grandparents in, because the grandparents brought us parents and raised us parents in our culture, and how they think about nowadays with the students. And then after that, we do a forum of just youth, and then we would bring in teachers, from ASD, or teachers from in the community that had the experience of dealing with students when they come into school. And then we also bring in some people from the community that have the knowledge or have experience, in dealing with students in a different culture. So, and then we collaborate. We bring in assessment form. We translated our own forms in our language, in Samoan and Tongan. And with the parents that English is a second language, we also provide interpretation at the same time that we would do community forum or community connections. And maybe, something that we could continue on. It doesn't have to be just my community, but, for other communities, small communities that move into Alaska or move into America would look at that. And that's what I meant.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Lucy, for elaborating. Yeah, I heard a lot about community involvement, right, and cultural involvement, and that's really
Mhm.
important because a big positive childhood experience is actually cultural involvement, right?
That's right.
Experiencing one's culture. So anything we can do with that is great. And then Amy, you wrote a great comment in here about what PIC is now doing. Would you care to share that with the group?
Sure.
Or
So it's not something we're currently doing, but we're thinking about doing it. And myself and one other provider are going through to become a trainer in the Growing Brain curriculum, which is really awesome. It really focuses relationship, positive engagement, and kind of approaches abuse and neglect from the lens of trauma in kids, and like how do we counterbalance that trauma that they might experience, but more so in a kind of a proactive way instead of a back end. So the curriculum is really wonderful. You know, it melds science and relationship-based work, and I think that it would be a really cool thing to be able to offer in across you know, whether to do it online or in person. It is a multi-unit thing, but I'm kind of thinking like, how do we compress it to a more manageable bite size? I don't know many people who can commit to 7 sessions. So trying to really kind of focus in on kind of brain development, what happens in a baby's brains, all that wonderful connections they make, and then what happens when they're in a deprived environment where people aren't talking to them, aren't smiling with them, aren't responsive to their needs, but that's just something that I'm kind of thinking about, and we haven't been overly successful with having people gather in a location to do stuff like that. So I'm wondering if online might be a more accessible way to do that for families, and then we can do it at a time of day that maybe is more conducive, you know, maybe an 8 o'clock at night thing where the kids are in bed, or something like that. I don't know, just something that we're thinking about, and as far as more in the actual action steps to prevent abuse, neglect.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It would be great if we could get some kind of community events going on, and then we could also help advertise them as well, as part of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Anything you and your organization can do would be great. And we could post that, help advertise it for you, kind of get the word out that there are all these different events going on in maybe your more local area.
Yeah, last year we published a poster with all of the trainings going on across the whole state that were open to parents. I know a ton of them were from RCPC. So I don't know, Nathaniel, if you could speak to how you've been successful, because you guys do so many trainings with parents, right? Do you have any lessons learned? Because we've tried that too during Prevention Month to do webinars for parents. We did Circle of Security with Sprout once. We did an online safety focused training, and we just never really get the attendance. And I don't know, how are yours, and what do you guys have planned?
Yeah, so I can kind of expand on that. I don't know how helpful it will be. So for context, for those of you who might not know, so like quarterly, I try to have virtual classes that are available to caregivers in the community and as a whole. So what's really exciting about the virtual classes is anyone's able to sign up that's in Alaska, and they're completely free. I will say a majority of our attendance is referral based. So it is a lot of me working closely with like Alaska Behavioral Health, Healing Native Hearts Coalition, OCS, working with ACCA, working with International AIDS Association, Fairbanks Public Health. Like, I try to build really good relations with these other agencies because I'm also trying to show like, hey, I'm here. These classes are not just for people in need, but also just to help spread awareness of like better practices and information. And it's to the point where like other, not even like agencies that work with caregivers or families, it's like dentistries. Like we've reached out to them. We work closely with another dentist, and they actually do like Christmas events with us where they'll get like toys. It's really cool. Um, but for me, what makes the classic successful is that connection with my other partners out there and making it where it is accessible to all of Alaska and not just my region. When it was just my region, when I first started, it was a little rough. You would get like 3 or 5 people who signed up, but then they wouldn't finish the class. And our classes range between like 6 to 8 weeks. And so you want to make sure that they're able to get into those classes and make sure that they have a way to do it. And so what I've done is I encourage them to join and they don't have to turn on the camera. I encourage them that I'm not going to be grading and I'm not doing like homework. So I try to make sure the clients or the families are like, yes, this is what's taking place. You're okay. I'm here to help you learn and I'm here to make it easy for you because you might have a million other things going on. So it leaves the room for conversation and it sometimes leaves, the class silent. But what I have seen for circle of security parenting, this approach has made it where maybe the first listener or two is very quiet, but then they start to talk more, they start to advocate more, they start to share their stories. I establish a really safe environment with them. I always repeat the same thing every class where I'm like, I'm in a closed location, my door is locked, I have a sound machine, like your information is safe with me, and I expect the same out of you. And so with that process, I've also made it easier for people to just sign up too. So that was a barrier. Is some individuals in the community in rural areas were limited with internet, um, or even like phone calls. But weirdly, I found that signing up for the class where you don't have to talk to someone was easier. So we did like a QR code approach and a link approach where I can just send it to you. You can look at it, you can review it. And if you feel comfortable talking to me about what you're looking for, then you can sign up. So with a lot of different changes, I don't know if I'm like tackling what you're asking for. We have serviced, I could probably like pull up numbers really fast, but like for the past 2 fiscal years, at least above 100. That might, hold on, I'm sorry. That was probably more pertaining to family support, which is a different kind of thing. I want to say we have always had at least 30 people signing up per quarter for the classes, at least above 30. Like currently, I do have 36 people who have registered between the 2 classes that are starting in February. That doesn't mean I'm going to have all of them right there and then, but at least like it's more accessible and it's ready and people know it's available and other agencies are supporting it. Does that tackle what you guys are looking for? I feel like it went on a different tangent maybe.
No, I think that was really helpful. I think that us getting some kind of system where we have all these offerings in one place that are going on all across the state, because I know Sprout is doing Circle of Security too. How do we, cohesively put these in one place so that parents can find all of them, especially during April, but maybe even, throughout the year. And so I'm just starting to think about that. But yeah, you definitely answered my question on that. But I want somebody in Wrangell to be able to find out that Fairbanks is offering something that's free, that's free for them and all of that. So yeah, let's all think about that. I think we'll move on to the next slide because we are talking, which is great. But we want to make sure that you get the info from us too. So if that means us staying on after and you have more to say, that is also totally fine. But to give you a little bit of an idea of what ACT is planning on providing this year, we always do our social media. Well, it's all kind of media toolkit for partners. So we have usually about 20 pre-made, ready to go Facebook posts, Instagram posts for you. We will provide a couple trainings, which we'll talk about in a minute. We'll be doing legislative and media outreach. So for our legislative outreach, that includes, getting a governor's proclamation, ideally getting community proclamations too. So if you are in a community that does that kind of thing, so I know Anchorage does, we'll probably be reaching out to the mayor's office and trying to get a proclamation for Anchorage. But hopefully getting some of those in other communities too. But we always get the governor's proclamation. Then we reach out to all the legislators with a small box of supplies, usually a pinwheel pin so that they can show their support, some information on wearing blue on Friday, April 4th, so that they can physically show their support too. And then we usually ask a representative and a senator to make a motion on the House and Senate floor to talk about Prevention Month and just explain what it is. So we've done that the past couple of years. And we're also hoping to do a lunch and learn in Juneau this April, where we go down and talk about just how children and families are doing. So that's kind of our legislative outreach plan for now. If you have additional ideas for your community or you need help reaching out to your specific representative or legislator, you can definitely representative or senator, you can definitely let us know because we have a lot of tools. We have an advocacy branch of ACT that could help with that too. And it is always better coming from the person in the community than from ACT, which is statewide. We provide a press release, radio text. We'll do all of these things that we've normally done if you've interacted with us before. And then we'll also do some opinion editorials or blogs that will go into newspapers. We'll talk about those in a bit. And then of course, our printed materials and a couple digital resources and our Go Blue Day Kids activity guide. So we'll go into each of these in more detail as we keep going, but that's kind of the synopsis. Oh, and this doesn't say mini grants, but we have the mini grants too. So that's the general overview of what we've got going for April. And now we'll go into depth with each thing.
Great. So here are the materials we'll have for this year. We took your feedback from the last meeting and we're going to start working on translation of our materials. So that means we're going to start with the coloring book because that was one of the easier things to translate. So we'll be translating that into Spanish and Yupik first, since those were the languages we received the most interest in. So that's something we'll be providing this year, our coloring books plus translated versions of them. Growth charts, again, we will be doing magnet frames. We're going to continue with the origami pinwheels, the foldable ones with the paper, the little fortune tellers as well, right? Again, something foldable, something the kids interacted with. We heard those were really popular. We're also going to continue our child sexual abuse prevention toolkit, maybe with a little bit of a rebrand though. Something that we are moving from is our online safety cards. Those were quite expensive in the physical medium. If you see Eliza, she's holding up an example of those. So we provided those physically in the past, but because they're so expensive and we want to continue our outreach with them, we're working on developing an app with them. So it's unlikely the app will be ready in time for CAP month, but it will definitely be ready in time for 2026 CAP month. So stay tuned for that. And then of course, another thing we're working on, which we're hoping might be ready by CAP month, is an online safety book for younger children ages 3 to 7. So we're working on an interactive book that parents or caregivers can read with their kid, get them to think about how they can be safe online.
Samantha, before you move off of that, with the online safety for young children book, that is a project that we're really excited about. I am hoping at some point in that process to maybe get feedback from some educators or other youth serving professionals who work with younger children related to drafts of that. If you might be interested in reviewing that, or you know someone who is, just drop your name in the chat and we'll reach out when it's time for that. But that would be super helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Eliza. Yes, anyone who works with kids ages 3 to 7, your feedback would be so helpful for us on that.
Yeah, similarly, as we talk about redesigning the CSA prevention book, which has looked like this before, now looks like this, and we're ready for it to look a different way. um, we would love your feedback on that too. We're thinking just changing the front cover right now. So the main issue we've noticed with this is that people really don't pick it up, at least not from when we go table in places. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that child sexual abuse is taking place. And this is a very, very valuable resource. It talks about grooming, responding to a disclosure. It has a coloring sheet inside of it that, oh, 1 second. There's a little feedback because we're both in the same meeting. Okay. All right. It has a coloring sheet in here that talks about what are safe places, where, where you can be touched and where you shouldn't be touched. And then it talks about naming 5 trusted adults. So it's a really, really good resource. And we just don't see people pick it up. So if you have feedback, whether that's, I have seen people pick it up and people use it, or I'd love to, give feedback on how to make it more appealing. We talked about putting this on the front, but then there's the issue of kids might think it's for kids, which it is not a resource for children. It's a resource for parents. So if you have feedback on that too, we would love that also. So those are the materials for this year, and we'll have a timeline at the end, but we are going to put out our materials order form either this Friday or next Friday, probably next Friday. So just keep that on your radar. We'll put it out there, and that really gives us a good idea of how much to order of certain products. We had to order some of them before Christmas, before the holidays. But many of the paper printed ones, we wait until we have a really good estimate. So when you get that form, please fill it out. Okay, and then this is the theme for the month. This is what was determined by Prevent Child Abuse America, which is the national office. So it's powered by hope, strengthened by prevention. So Mirna, our new director of communications, will be creating materials focused on that for our social media toolkit. And there's going to be a big emphasis on using photos of real people. So that's kind of a shift. We usually have like a graphic image going on, and this is going to be photos of real Alaskans, which is great.
Okay, so Go Blue Day. It was so great to hear from all of you that you've participated in Go Blue Day in the past. This year, our Go Blue Day will be April 4th, the first Friday of April. And so it'd be great if we could have your continued involvement, any other ideas for how we can raise awareness. Yeah, passing it over to you, Kayla, if you want to add anything.
I think everybody kind of touched on it a little bit. Even though awareness is just one part of Prevention Month, it really does do something when everyone at a place is wearing blue. So like Nathaniel was saying, get dentist office to wear blue. We're talking to a local ice cream shop to see if they'll do a ice cream that's blue. It seems a little silly, but it really does highlight Prevention Month. And I think, Veronica, did you unmute? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No.
Like just the fact of wearing blue or having blue raises people's curiosity. Like, oh, why is this happening? And then they could potentially be linked to different resources we have and look into it. And so awareness is important again.
And we'll put out these resources again. We usually just refresh these. This isn't something we recreate every year, but just little social media posts for wearing blue, going blue, here's a Zoom background, that kind of thing. And then we have like a 14-page activity book of little things like making Play-Doh and making different colored foods that are blue. That one does really well on social media to share out with families. So keep an eye out for that. We've never printed that before. I don't think we need to. I think people can access it online and that's just fine. But those are some of the things that we'll offer.
Okay, going on to grants. So the mini grants we'll be offering this year are 2. We'll be offering a mini grant for anyone who wants to put on a lived experience event, or anyone who wants to do a Lean On Me facilitator training. So as you may be aware, the Alaska Children's Trust has been working on our lived experiences project that's recording the experiences of people who were victims of child abuse and neglect, but also just hearing about what could have helped them too. So it's a really important project. It not only raises awareness about the ongoing issues of it, but also what resources could have prevented it in the first place. So the first grant, the lived experience grant, we would have a training session for how you can show our videos of these lived experiences and then facilitate a discussion on them within your community. And it also how you can help maybe different community members share their own stories. But this, to be clear, should be an adult only event because it deals with really sensitive material. So that's one option. That'll be $300 for that event. And then the other option is the Lean On Me facilitator training. So Eliza could potentially talk more about that. But the great thing about this is that you can apply for both of these grants. So if that's something you want to do, you want to put on both of these events, you're eligible to do both. Eliza, do you want to add a little more on Lean On Me or?
So the idea from Lean On Me came from a training developed in Arizona by the Arizona chapter of Prevent Child Abuse America. And what they found in Arizona was that really community members didn't have a great understanding of what was the responsibility of the community versus what was the responsibility of child protective services. And so the point of the training is to empower community members to understand that prevention is everyone's responsibility, and that we all have a role to play in keeping children and families safe and thriving. So it talks a little bit about that. And then it helps community members start to brainstorm ways that they can take action very locally to strengthen families in their communities.
Yeah, so it's about fostering a culture of supporting, not just mandated reporting.
So we know this is a pretty big shift from how we've structured our mini grants in the past, and wanted to give you opportunity to ask questions. The reason that we've kind of slowly, so last year we had our grants focus on concrete supports or one other thing, but we've slowly kind of gone away from the awareness, the straight Go Blue Day events, and towards something where parents are going to leave, or parents or anybody really is going to leave with real practical tools for how to help. So that's kind of why we started this shift. And the lived experience part of it, we have this great resource. We have this website where folks can share their story if they want to, or just read other ones and find people to relate to. And we want to start using that more. And we also want to talk about the upstream prevention side of it. And so we're getting all the folks that helped create videos that shared their story to talk about that upstream side. So if you have questions about either of the grants, I just want to leave space for them to be answered here. Off the bat, does anybody know that they would apply to either of these? I'm just curious.
Wrangle for sure.
I like I would be interested in getting more information on the Lean On Me training for some of our teachers and staff, because we do a lot of work with families, and so I think it would be neat for them to have that that kind of a training done.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for your feedback. We'll see how it goes. This is trying something new, so we appreciate you being part of that. Oh, this is my slide. Okay, so this is a little bit of follow-up so we can be accountable to y'all. You gave some ideas from our last meeting in November. The first one was creating a toolkit to involve faith communities at a deeper level that is specifically for them. We are working on that toolkit right now. We have 2 models to go off of from other chapters of Prevent Child Abuse America. So Samantha is working on a draft of that. We have a decent list of religious organizations that are going to review it. But if you know other folks that would be willing to review something like that, we would absolutely love to send it to them. And we can send them a printed copy if that's better for them. But we want to make sure that we get that feedback and we're not just creating something based on our own ideas and models that we've seen. We want to make sure we have a 2-way connection there. So if you know people that would be willing to review something like that, please send that to us. So we're working on that now. We'll have a draft soon. And also if you yourself are part of a faith community, it doesn't have to be like the head of an organization. It can be a member of that faith community for sure. So please feel free to reach out. We'll be doing social media posts that highlight different positive childhood experiences. We're definitely going to keep that. We are potentially going to do an in-person screening of the movie Resilience here in Anchorage. We were hoping to do a screening of the movie Sugarcane that just came out that is on Disney Plus and Hulu, and that's about boarding schools. But unfortunately, Beartooth cannot show movies that are out on Disney Plus and Hulu. But that means that everybody can probably watch it if you know somebody who has Hulu or Disney Plus. We just can't show it at a public screening. But we're hoping for Resilience. And then we are planning on doing a mini version of Positive Indigenous Parenting, kind of like Amy, you said earlier, the 7-hour training, very long. But we are trying to condense Positive Indigenous Parenting, which is actually a 3-day training with 2 different trainers, into just a quick little thing for parents of maybe 2 hours one evening. So that's something we're hoping to offer virtually during Prevention Month too. So these are just a little bit of letting you know what we kind of followed up on. Oh, and the other thing was the online safety app. We talked about that a good amount in the last training. We actually found a company that a group of students from Cornell University is going to design this app for free for us, which is pretty incredible. So that will hopefully be accessible. But I don't think we're going to rule out the printing of the cards entirely, because we do know that rural communities still need like that paper version. This is just in addition. So.
Okay, and so we're also going to do some written pieces as well in papers or through blog posts, op-eds, that sort of thing. So one of the topics we wanted to talk about was domestic violence and mandated reporting, specifically how the fear of having one's children taken away can kind of prevent someone from getting the help they need in a domestic violence situation. So maybe discussing aspects of that a little more. Other topics include childcare and how helpful that is for families in relieving stress and making families more resilient. And paid family leave is another topic we're looking into, as well as after school and substance misuse prevention. So, and we want to open it up to you to say if you are interested in co-authoring any of these posts with us, do let us know.
And co-authoring could be any level of involvement. It could be helping write it. It could be, providing a quick quote for it, or it could be just signing your name to something that we've written. But we've definitely found that when we publish things in tandem with other organizations, they do better. So if you are an expert in any of these topics, or if your organization works with them a lot, we would love to work together on it.
I'll just say, for example, last year we wrote one on food insecurity and the connection between that and child abuse and neglect, which was co-authored with the Food Bank of Alaska. ACT did the legwork of primarily writing that, and the food bank contributed great edits and quotes. So if you are interested in collaborating on a written piece, we can make that happen with like a relatively low lift for your organization staff, but it's always really helpful to get experts contributing.
Yes. Okay, and then this is just a quick timeline. So we're planning either this Friday, but again, probably next Friday. But just check our emails just in case that our materials order form will open up. In mid-February, our mini grant applications will open. By early March, we'll do those trainings that corresponds with each of the mini grants, and we'll debut our toolkit. And somewhere in early to mid-March, we will have our final, like, really big kickoff meeting. Here's what we're doing, not making any more changes at that point. And to hear back from what you have as definitive plans, and to show off our social media toolkit and all of those pieces. And then in late March, you'll receive your materials from ACT. That's when we try to have them hit mailboxes, so you have some time to prep before Go Blue Day if you're having an event on April 4th. So that's our timeline we will try to stick with. And then we just threw in some of the social media posts from last year in case you haven't seen them. But we will have a new social media toolkit this year that Myrna will be working on. So that is the end of our little slideshow.
Well, I just want to add a quick thing for the social media toolkit. Feel free to adapt it to your organization as well. You don't need to use exactly what we put out. You can take what we wrote, but then maybe put a different graphic with your colors if you so prefer. Just feel free. It doesn't need to be strict. Just as long as you use it.
I have a question. This is Lucy. So a question came in my community on one of the young youth that we wanted to, or she wanted to do a interview of, she wanted to do a story. I can say a story, but she wanted it to be a part of a message out to parents and to the community at large of she's the victim of the child abuse and what you call the other one, child abuse, neglect, and also I can't think of the word. But anyway, she did reach out to ACT, and we had a talk. We're in the process of coming together to meet because she wanted to do a video. Is there a way that we can reach out to ACT to be a part of this? I think it's going to be good because it's going to be in a Pacific Island. Some languages will be in our Pacific Island language, native language, and some were mostly in English. And I think it's not just for our Pacific parents that they will understand, but it will be for the community at large. And I wanted to reach out to ACT to see if there's a funding assistant or assistant to help us be a partner with to do this video. I don't know how to go about it. So
yeah. Yeah, Lucy, do you want to give me or Eliza a call right after this? I can send you our numbers. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great then. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or things we could help out with leading up to April?
This is just a quote from an email that came to me this morning, and I'll just read a little bit of it. As hard as it is to make sense of all that's happening, we're blessed by a voice of help coming to us at exactly the right moment. Just this week, our nation's Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, published his final prescription for healing our country, and it couldn't be more timely Choose community, Dr. Murthy writes, because relationships, service, and purpose create an ecosystem of meaning and belonging that are essential for fulfillment. I'm just really happy to see ACT moving in that direction of building community so that instead of just one day or 1 month, we have a whole year of progress to make in these areas.
What a great quote. Thank you for sharing that.
That seems like a really good close. I
Well,
can't beat that.
I did want to add on that note, though, if there are any community or cultural events that you know of that will be happening in April, do let us know so we can highlight them. Since, as you know, we're trying to highlight different positive childhood experiences each week. So if there are cultural experiences, connecting to one's heritage is a big part of that. So any community cultural events happening in April, let us know. We'll plug them. If you have photos from them, we can highlight them in our social media. Anything like that, do let us know. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.